The Detroit Pistons get a convincing win over the Charlotte Hornets en route to Cade Cunningham continuing a fantastic season that I feel like a lot of people aren't really understanding. We'll break it down today's episode of Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years, been a contention media member over the last 3 years. I appreciate all of you guys who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I also want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast in America. I appreciate all of you guys who have supported any Locked On podcast out there, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, whatever it is. Appreciate all of you guys' support and helping us grow like we have. Today, I want to break down what has made Cade's season so fantastic, because there's been a lot of talk of, oh yeah, he's taking them to the first seed. Oh, he's putting up great box score numbers. It's kind of just been base level evaluation, base level analysis, and it's not giving him enough credit for how great he actually has. I'm going to break down his improvements this year. It's crazy. Stay tuned. And then later we'll talk about the obvious Jaden Ivey and Caris LeVert issue that has to get resolved at some point. But first, we're going to start with the Pistons win over the Charlotte Hornets. Now, I will let you guys in on something. I just got done recording this episode. I went 27 minutes in, and then my computer crashed. So we're going to do this all over again. But don't worry, I'm still going to get you guys the same coverage I would have given you guys in the first episode. Or the first try, I should say. Pistons, 112-86 over the Charlotte Hornets. Yes, you heard me. A score of 112-86. You look at this score, you would have thought this was a Pistons game in 2006. If you look at the splits from the Charlotte Hornets, you would have thought this was a 2005 game. They shot 31% from the field, 31% from deep, and the Pistons forced them into 23 turnovers. The Pistons absolutely dominated the Charlotte Hornets. It wasn't close. Actually, I take that back. It was close for a brief second in the second half. They cut it to a two-possession game, and then the Pistons went on like an 18-0 run or something and just dominated them in quick fashion. I was at this game, and it never felt like it was remotely close. It never felt like it was. These teams very clearly are on two different levels, I'll say. Like, it wasn't ever like a competitive game, I felt like, watching it at the game. Cade Cunningham had a quiet night that just turns out to be a triple-double. A quiet night is just a triple-double for Cade. One of my best friends, he lives in Cali. Brandon Rose, if you listen to this, what's up, my guy? He's a musician. If you guys haven't checked him out, definitely go check him out. Some of you guys have heard of him before. You guys have let me know that. But overall, he came back home to Michigan from Cali. He just got done on tour. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because he came and met up with me in the media section. He was like, man, I feel like Cade's had a quiet night. And then I look up, and he has a triple-double. I'm like, yeah, man, I felt the same. Like, I was watching the game. I was like, oh, Cade's just having okay night. And then I looked down. I'm like, oh, my gosh, 22, 10, and 10 with just 2 turnovers. Like, that's where we're at with Cade. And good defense as well. Consistency on the defensive end while generating good shots, generating good offense for the Pistons. It felt like every single possession, not turning the basketball over. And even in a night where maybe it's not shooting the best, he's still generating everything for the Detroit Pistons. And with his 10 rebounds, the only players in the entire game on both teams that have more rebounds than him was Jalen, Duren, and Isaiah Stewart. He out-rebounded the entire Charlotte Hornets team. Or not the entire team, but everyone on the Charlotte Hornets team. None of them had more rebounds than Cade did. So, Cade, I guess you call it quiet night, but also like a triple-double night with no turnovers. So I don't know how we should even classify those now for Cade. Jalen Duren had a good game after really struggling with foul trouble in the first half. He really wasn't doing much of anything in the first half, again, like I said, due to foul trouble. But then in the second half really woke up and was part of the reason why the Pistons were able to just really shut the door and just obliterate the Hornets like they did. He had 13 points and 8 rebounds in just the second half in just 15 minutes of action. So it was great to see him respond and continue to be aggressive despite finding himself with very low minutes in the first half. Only played around 8.5 minutes in the first half. So it was great to see that from JD. Ausar Thompson, Look, man, and when his career ends, he's going to be known as one of the best, most versatile defenders we've ever seen. I think that's the disconnect with some people who just don't like Ausar. He's not just a good defender. He's not just a really good defender. He's quite literally one of the best defenders in the entire league, one of the most versatile defenders in the entire league. And by the end of his career, he will be known as one of the best perimeter, most versatile defenders in the league, or in league history. He's insane. What he was doing to the Hornets was bullying. He had 4 blocks and 3 steals. What he did to LaMelo, he took LaMelo to the gulag and locked him in there. Like it was terrible. It was embarrassing what he was doing to the Charlotte Hornets. He ended the game with 14 points, 4 rebounds, 4 blocks, 3 steals, 2 assists. A really great game from him. He was hyper aggressive on the offensive end of the floor. I've told you guys this before, but a few days ago I talked to somebody who confirmed that this is Ausar's 3rd different free throw routine that he's trying out this year. And this one I think looks way better than the other 2. He's getting much more bend at the knees. It looks like they're putting an emphasis on getting fluid motion from his legs up, not just from his arms staying stiff and just using all arms. He's using his knees. He's using his lower body and trying to generate one fluid motion. It looks better. He went 4 of 6 on the free throw line, so hopefully we continue to see that kind of improvement because what he was shooting before was horrific. But it was great to see him have a good game. And then Duncan Robinson. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. Duncan Robinson snapped out of what I guess you would call a mini slump, I guess. He shot 4 of 9 from deep in this game, 5 of 10 from the floor. He had 15 points. The small section of the Pistons fan base that wants Duncan benched is I can't comprehend it. I tweeted this out the other day. The Detroit Pistons are 27th in 3-point rate and 21st in 3-point percentage. And before I get the comments, and before you guys start typing up your messages or whatever about, cool, this is the Pistons don't, we're the Detroit Pistons. It's never been in our DNA to shoot a bunch of threes. No one's saying you got to be the Golden State Warriors. No one's saying you got to be the Boston Celtics. No one's saying you got to be the Rockets in 2018. No one's saying that. The Pistons, yes, have built their identity on defense, winning in transition, scoring at the basket, winning offensive rebounds, winning the possession battle. And can you win like that? 100% you can. You can win like that. However, you must have no matter what route you take in trying to be a great team, you have to have a base level of 3-point shooting. You can't just have none. You have to have a base level of respectability from the 3-point arc. Don't have to go overboard with it. No one's saying you have to go crazy with it. You can be one of the lower shooting teams, but you have to have a base level of 3-point shooting. And the Pistons are really walking that line. If you bench Duncan, you have completely taken 5 steps over that line, and you are not going to come close to the amount of spacing you need for a team that has 2 non-shooters and a power forward who doesn't want to shoot threes and a point guard who's struggling to shoot from 3 this year. You are like it makes no basketball sense. The only reason anyone's saying to bench Duncan is because they want to see their favorite player start. And we'll talk about him later, but it makes no basketball sense to start Duncan or to bench Duncan. If you take Duncan's 9 3-point attempts out the starting lineup, Cade's the only person that took more than 1. You take Duncan's 3-point shooting out the lineup, they've only taken 6 threes in the starting lineup. Cade took 5, Tobias took 1. If you take Duncan's 9 3-point attempts from the team, you have 19 3-point attempts taken in the game. You take his makes, they only have 2. 2 3-pointers made in an NBA game. 4 of the 6 threes made were from Duncan. You cannot, the Pistons need that spacing. They have to have that shooting. You play 2 non-shooters. You play a point guard who has been inconsistent from deep, and you play a power forward who doesn't shoot threes. You play someone else who is not respected like Duncan is by defenses with his gravity and spacing and his movement shooting, you are asking to get cooked in the half court. You're just asking for it. He has to play. And that's just like team-wise. He's been good. Like why is there a section of the fan base that just doesn't like Duncan? He's shooting 40% on 7.5 attempts from deep. His passing on closeouts and on DHOs has been really good. Like, they're winning his minutes by 6 points. It doesn't make any sense. You have to play him. You have to start him. It doesn't make any sense to try to argue that you don't. If the objective is to win basketball games, which, by the way, in case anyone missed, they're 21-5 with him in the starting lineup, and they're first in the East. Seems like it's going pretty well. I see this little section of the community that keeps talking about benching Duncan, and it just, I don't comprehend it. It is what it is. But great win from the Pistons in general. Convincing win. over the Charlotte Hornets. Coming up, the Pistons do have a long Western road trip. They won't play in Detroit again until 2026, January 1st, against the Miami Heat. Their 5 games, Clippers, not in order of the schedule, but Clippers, Lakers, Portland, Utah. I'm forgetting the 5th team. Let me pull the schedule up. I just had it in front of me. I forgot who it was. Oh, Kings. Portland tonight. I'm recording on Monday. Then Kings in the back end of back-to-back. Then Utah, Clippers, Lakers. 5 straight road games, 5 straight very late nights. The Pistons are better than all those teams. They can go 5-0, but going on long Western road trips is usually pretty hard, especially when you have a back-to-back mixed in there. So I won't be surprised if the Pistons drop a game. Maybe people aren't expecting them to, but let me know in the comment section down below how you guys are expecting them to fare during this Western road trip, and also what you guys' takeaways were from the Pistons win over the Charlotte Hornets. Coming up, I'm really looking forward to talking about this. Cade Cunningham is having an extraordinary season, and people aren't diagnosing it enough. They're keeping it at just base level. The box score looks cool. Oh, they're winning. They're first in the East. So therefore, he's having a great year. And I feel like that's disrespecting Cade and not giving the props he deserves when you really dive into the numbers of just how big, not just a step, a leap he's taken this year. We'll talk about it coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools. Or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, so expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move with Robinhood. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You're probably asking, what is the Everydayer Club? Well, I'm going to let you guys know. If you join the Everydayer Club, you get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Pistons, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, every other major podcast app. You don't want to hear the ads no more. You just want one clean listen to Locked On Pistons. Check out the Everydayer Club. Again, compatible with all major podcast apps. And also, you get an invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord, which has a Locked On Pistons channel that has already a bunch of people in there. We talk during the games. We talk in between games. You want to just talk Pistons with the Locked On Pistons community. Heck, if you're a fan of the Lions or you're a fan of whatever, join that community as well and just talk that with them. It's the best place to talk about your favorite team every single day. You can go to lockedonpistons.supercast.com, or you can tap the link in the show notes now or down below to learn more. Again, like I said, later on we'll talk about Jaden, Ivey, and Caris, LeVert, but I want to start with Cade Cunningham in this fantastic season he is having. Base level numbers: 27 points, 9.2 assists, 6.4 rebounds. Pistons have the #1 record in the East. People have talked about Cade being maybe an all-star starter. Feels like a lot of people are talking about him. But from my perspective, from being one of the bigger faces in the community, being someone who covers the team every day, 365, no one works harder than me, you feel me? I don't feel like I've seen anyone really dive into the numbers of what is making Cade having not just an improvement over last year, a leap from last year. And that's what he's having. He is having a leap. And again, people who just look at the box score may say, well, I mean, he averaged 26 last year. How is this a leap? He's averaging 27 this year. How is it a leap? Because you haven't heard someone like myself go through a deep dive of what he's improved on this year in multitude of areas, which we're going to go ahead and get into it now. Where I want to start with, there's multiple areas we're going to go with here. It's going to be a long segment. Buckle in. Get your popcorn ready. #1 area, turnovers. He has cut down the turnovers. And when you are a high-usage guard that generates offense for your team, and you are a team that's focused on winning the possession battle, you're going to have a guard who is turning the ball over as much as Cade did last year. Turnovers were the biggest red flag from those who were Cade haters. One of the bigger red flags they had on Cade was he just turns the ball over way too much. he's giving the other team easy possessions. He's losing the ball in bad situations. He's losing the ball in key situations. Can't believe in him. That was one of the bigger arguments from people that didn't like Cade last year when the Pistons had that successful season. And Cade made his first All-Star team. He made his first All-NBA team. Last year in scoring turnover percentage, which let me go ahead and describe to you guys and let you guys know what scoring turnover percentage is in case you don't know. How many non-passing turnovers a person or player commits per shot taken. So it's not taken into account passing turnovers, like when you throw a bad pass or you throw a pass and gets picked off. Not one of those. It's really pure scoring situations, how often you're turning the ball over. Last year, Cade was in the 15th percentile in scoring turnover percentage. He's turned the ball over 8.4% of the time. Very, very, very bad. He's been one of the worst in this category throughout his career. You go back to his rookie years, he was the worst. He was in the 2nd percentile. Very bad. Last year, 15th percentile. One of the biggest areas he had to improve on. It was really bad. This year, he's went from the 15th percentile to the 65th percentile. He has jumped 50 percentile in scoring turnover percentage. He's went from 8.4% to 5.9%. He's no longer turning the ball over, driving to the rim, getting the ball ripped up, losing control on shots, losing the ball at the rim. He's no longer doing that. He's cutting it down tremendously. For someone who has the ball as much as he has the ball in his hands, his shot usage, he's in the 94th percentile. So for someone to have the ball in his hands that much, for him to cut it down, those turnovers as much as he has, is a crazy leap by him. Crazy leap by him. That's the first area we're going to focus on, because that has been fantastic to see. You absolutely could not be someone who's trying to, a team that's built on defense and winning the possession battle, getting offensive rebounds, not giving the ball to the other team. You could not have a lead guard that's turning the ball over as much as Cade did last year. It was maybe his biggest red flag. And he has improved it vastly this year. Vastly. We talked about in the first segment how he didn't turn the ball over against Charlotte. He's been consistent with that this year. He's had a few games where it ticks up, but the overall improvement has been extraordinary. He's taking better care of the ball, man. Taking better care of the ball. The next part we're going to get to. He is drawing free throws. He is getting the respect from the officials. For years and years and years and years in this podcast, I begged for Cade to get a good whistle. I begged for him to finally start drawing free throws. I said that it was the thing stopping him from being an uber-efficient basketball player. We are seeing him get free throws this year. Last year, in 24-25 season, he had a 25.4 free throw rate. This year, he has a 35 free throw rate. 35% free throw rate. Big improvement. Big improvement. You just want to look at the raw free throw numbers. 5.3 free throw attempts last year. He's at 7.2 free throw attempts this year. He's drawing free throws at a much higher rate this year than he has at any other point in his entire career, and is leading the Pistons again, along with him not turning the ball over as much, and also turning these looks at the rim, turning these tough shots that he was taking in past years into free throw attempts, is leading to the Pistons having a much more efficient half-court offense this year, which we've spoken about multiple times. We've broken down the numbers in the half-court offense multiple times, and it's leading to them being a consistent top 10 offense in the NBA. Those are two of the biggest areas he has made such a huge improvement in. Now, we're going to dive into some other areas. Again, some areas that he's just made massive leaps in. Massive leaps in. Another thing that things that Cade haters, I should say, said about him that didn't believe in him. They called him a pick and roll merchant. And that is true. That's a true statement. Cade runs pick and rolls as much as anybody. Last year, he ran 870 pick and roll possessions. This year, no other possession comes within 160, or no other play type comes within 160 possessions of how many times he's run a pick and roll this year. So he is a pick and roll merchant. But they said that unless he's running a pick and roll, he's not able to generate offense. He's not able to generate offense in the one-on-one situations. If it's not a screen, he can't do anything. That's what his haters said. Last year, in isolation situations, he was in the 48th percentile. He was not a very good isolation scorer. He was he was okay, but he was not very good in isolation. And it was very clearly a scheme defenses played against him. They would start to just switch pick and rolls and tell him to beat in isolation. And he wasn't able to consistently do that last year. Again, 48th percentile. This year, in isolation, he's went from the 48th percentile to the 78th percentile. I'm going to say it again. He's went from the 48th percentile last year in isolation to 78th percentile. He is scoring 1.07 points per possession in isolation. He went from being an okay isolation guy to one of the best isolation guys in the entire NBA. In the entire NBA. Not only is he beating you in pick and rolls, which, by the way, he's in the 96th percentile when it comes to volume in pick and rolls, while also being in the 71st percentile in points per possession. So he's having incredibly high volume running pick and rolls while also being incredibly efficient. It's absurd efficiency. While also now he's able to make you pay, and he's consistently making you pay when you say, okay, we'll just switch. Now he's also hunting out mismatches. Now he's very comfortable in isolation situations. He's picking defenses apart this year. Last year, not good in isolation. This year, very good in isolation. So that's something else that he knocked down. Something else he's told haters, can't say about me no more. Another area that he has improved vastly. Again, not just a tiny step, vastly in. And this is why all of the advanced metrics are so much behind Cade now this year. I saw net points, I believe, had him 7th. I believe EPM had him top 15 or top 12. Maybe even higher. I might be not remembering correctly. But all the advanced metrics now are behind Cade this year. And this is why he's becoming much more efficient in all these situations. You look at him in transition last year. He was a very bad transition player, shockingly. 24th percentile in transition. Didn't score very well in transition last year, despite the Pistons being a fast team. This year, he's went from the 24th percentile to the 60th percentile in transition. Let's dive further into those numbers that he's pulling off in transition. This year, actually, let's start with last year. Last year in transition, a lot of shots in transition for Cade is going to be at the rim. He's not much of a pull-up three-point shooter like that. He's not Steph or anything. So and that's usually going to be the case for most players. But last year in transition on 2-pointers, he was shooting 58%. He had a 58 true shooting in transition last year. This year, in transition, he has a 65 true shooting percentage, and he is shooting 66% on 2s in transition. He's vastly improved his finishing in transition at the rim. And let's go back to turnovers then. Let's go ahead and just double down on this. Last year in transition, he turned the ball over way too much. 17% of the time, turnovers. This year, 13%. Last year in isolation, turned the ball over 10% of the time. This year, 6% of the time. Last year, in pick and rolls, he turned the ball over 16% of the time. This year, he's down to 13.8%. He's become a much better scorer. He's improved in scoring from every area of the floor. And he's not turning the ball over in these scoring situations. He has made these improvements. These aren't just incremental improvements. These are leaps. These are leaps he's making. Turnovers way down. Scoring efficiency way up. The percentage of free throws that he's drawing in these situations. I mean, it's massive improvements that Cade is making. Last year in isolation, he only drew a free throw 11% of the time. This year, 17% of the time. In pick and rolls last year, drew a free throw 8.4% of the time. This year, 11% of the time. He's every part of his game when it comes to offense and scoring has made a massive leap this year. He's incredibly, almost impossible to stop because he's able to pick you apart defensively from just about every area of the floor this year. That's what's made him different. It's a leap. He's not making a step forward. He is making a leap forward this year. One more thing I want to talk about here. This year, Cade is shooting 35.6% on off-the-dribble threes. The only thing, by the way, compared to last year, 31%. So last year, 31% off-the-dribble threes. This year, he's nearing 36%. So again, another massive scoring department, a massive scoring situation that he's improved at that forces defenses now to play higher in screen, to not give him threes, to go over screens and understand you may be giving up a pull-up three to a guy who can make it. He is making defenses pay in every way possible. The only thing that is stopping Cade this year from being one of the most efficient, high-volume scorers in the NBA is his catch-and-shoot numbers, which throughout his entire career, he has been a good catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. So I believe that's going to regress to the mean. This year, he's shooting a woeful, overall, he's in the 7th percentile on catch-and-shoot threes, which is really bad. And he's shooting a woeful 20% on catch-and-shoot threes. That's really bad. But again, like I said, throughout his entire career, he's been a good catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. I mean, last year he was a 40 or 39% catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. That's going to regress to the mean. So not only is Cade a more locked-in defender than I feel like we've ever seen him, he's cut the turnovers down in just about every area by a massive amount. He has become a much better scorer, not a little bit, a much better scorer in isolation, in transition, while also maintaining being a good post-up scorer, while maintaining being one of the best pick-and-roll scorers and passers in the entire NBA. He's maintained all of that. He's added an off-the-dribble three-point game that is consistently making teams pay, which honestly, for a guy that operates that much on ball, if you're going to have one area from the three-point shooting that I guess struggles for a bit, it's catch and shooting, because he's not off ball that much anyways. If you're going to be on the ball and you're running these kind of screens and you're consistently able to make teams pay off the dribble from deep, you'll take it. You'll take it. The numbers say the raw true shooting percentage will tell you that he's having overall same efficiency year as last year. I'm telling you, when you get deeper into the numbers like I just did, that's a lie. He's way, way, way more efficient this year than he ever has been. The only thing holding him back is the fact that his catch and shoot numbers aren't following up this year. If they were, dude, I'm telling you, once his catch and shoot numbers get back to where they were throughout his career, while all of these improvements are here, he is entering scary, and I mean it, scary conversations that you're going to have about Cade. I'll wait until his catch and shoot numbers come back, because once they do, I'm going to start making arguments for him above quite a few players that maybe people outside Detroit aren't ready for me to do. But I will, because that's the kind of season he is having. I would argue that he should be all NBA first team. Let his catch and shoot numbers catch up, man. I'm telling you, let his catch and shoot numbers catch up to where they've been. Oh my God. He's going to be, remember for years I said that I felt like this was an MVP player. I believed in him, wasn't giving up on him. I felt like this is an MVP player that the Pistons have in their future. He is playing like an MVP this year. He absolutely is. Don't let anyone tell you that he's making just a step forward this year. He is making a leap right in front of us. It's been crazy. Absolutely crazy to witness this year. Crazy to witness. Coming up, we'll talk about the Jalen Ivey, Caris LeVert issue that the Detroit Pistons have coming up. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. Trust me. One play. Offensive pass interference. Trust me. I'm still not over it. I can't believe the season ended like that, but whatever. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. If a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can also bet the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. That's what FanDuel, the game moves fast, so can you with FanDuel. So I want to thank you guys again for being Locked On Pistons, your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. The Pistons have an issue on their hands. They just do. They got to figure out their guard rotation. And I previewed this before everyone came back. I said that this was probably going to end up being a problem. Not this specific guard rotation, but just trying to incorporate everybody back in at the same time, trying to find the right combinations, the right lineups, while keeping everyone happy and keeping everyone in the same, it was going to be hard to do. And for a brief second there, you saw the Pistons, I thought, start to struggle because of it. They had like a 3-3 stretch where they just did not look very, we broke it down in the podcast. They were not playing very good at all. Their net rating dropped. Their half-court offense was the worst in the league. It was bad during that stretch, but they seemed to have bounced back a little bit. since then, they're looking like that team we saw for the majority of the year. The main issue that the Pistons are having right now with their rotation is they can't figure out the guard rotation. And really, it's about two guys. It's about Caris LeVert and it's about Jaden Ivey. Now, I want to start this off by saying, making it very clear, everyone knows I am not big on Jaden Ivey. However, he gets a bit of a pass because this is his first basketball in 11 months. But it has been 13 games played. At some point, we do have to start evaluating the player. But I understand people that want to give him a little bit of a pass because he's still, it's 13 games. He needs more time. I get it. Whatever. The problem is that they're playing Jaden Ivey and Caris LeVert together because you're starting Duncan Robinson with the starting lineup, like I said, that's led to the first seed in the Eastern Conference. So you can't shake that up. And quite honestly, this is where you can evaluate the player. You should not bench Duncan Robinson for a player that's not playing well. And Jaden Ivey's not playing well yet. Doesn't mean he won't play well. People want to believe he will eventually play better once he gets healthier. I get it. But you can't bench Duncan Robinson for a player that hasn't played well yet. That would be crazy. So you haven't changed the starting lineup, which forces you to play Caris LeVert and Jaden Ivey off the bench together. And if you look at their duo on Data Baller, which does a great job of taking out garbage time and only looking at minutes where you're playing in legit leverage moments. Minutes that matter, not, blowouts at the end, taking those out. The duo of Jaden Ivey and Caris LeVert is a minus 10.2 net rating. One of the worst duos on the entire team. I think it might be the worst duo of any duo that's played at least 50 minutes. It's not good. It's not good at all. They are very bad together. And you saw it against Charlotte. In the game against Charlotte, both Caris and Ivey looked really bad. Ivey was a minus 14 in a nearly 30-point win. And Caris LeVert had some of the loudest mistakes of his season. He had a steal. He got on a fast break, jumped in the air, and just threw it behind his head, turned the ball over. He had another turnover that was just like, bro, what are you doing? And the majority of them, and they played together most of the time. They're not very good together at all. At all. This is something we talked about very early on. We said we wanted to see the sample size grow. And as the sample size has grown, it continues to look worse and worse and worse. In just the Charlotte game, they had a minus 56.5 net rating. It was horrific. It was horrific. So the Pistons got to find a way to address this. Because the only moment where the game started to get a little close against Charlotte was when you had these two guys on the floor. The only times where the games in the last week and a half have started to get away from the Pistons is when these two guys are on the floor. They have to figure this out. And I don't know what you do. Because in the 318 minutes that Caris LeVert has played without Ivey, he is plus 5.8 on the floor. In the 63 minutes, albeit very small sample size, that Ivey's played without LeVert, he's a plus 29.5 without LeVert on the floor. So both guys have looked much better when they're not sharing the floor with each other. Caris LeVert has delivered some clutch buckets and is one of the only other guys on the team that have legit on-ball creation, which is why JB likes playing Caris and Cade together so much. Because he believes it gives Cade another guy that he can give the ball to that can create some offense. That's why in the 220 minutes that Caris and Cade have played together, they're outscoring teams by 5.2 points. That's why JB keeps going to it. That's the reasoning behind it. So that's why they still rock with Caris. But then you got Jaden Ivey, who is a young player in a contract year, coming off an injury that you have to get an answer on soon, that you want to give a chance to really give you those answers. Who also, when he's not playing with Caris, has looked better than he has when he's played with Caris. If you look at the lineups if you just looked at Ivey when he's gotten to play with Ausar and JD, it's looked better. Now, it's incredibly tiny sample size. It's only 18 minutes. It's almost a sample size. Actually, not almost. It is pretty much a sample size that you don't really want to read too much in. But the eye test obviously shows that when Ivey is not playing with Caris, he just looks better. How much better? How good is he? That's for everyone to interpret. But there's no denying that Ivey has looked better when he's not on the floor with Caris. I mean, in this game against Charlotte in the first half, he shared the floor with Cade for like maybe 2 minutes. And there was one really good offensive possession. Ivey was on the right wing. Cade ran a pick and roll on the left side. Ivey's defender was hard at the nail. Cade kicked it out to Ivey, and Ivey attacked that gap, got all the way to the rim, and laid it up at the rim. He had a similar possession, really the exact same possession, against Dallas. He was able to attack a nail defender that was helping on Cade. Cade outlets it to him. Ivey attacks that gap, gets all the way downhill to the rim, and finishes before Anthony Davis can get there. So, like, the eye test shows, and the numbers back it up. I mean, like, again, it's very small sample size, but in the little minutes we've gotten to Cade and Ivey, they've been +9. You've got to figure it out. They've got to figure it out somehow, because I don't think this is one of those things, well, we'll just give it more sample, they'll get better. No, they're going to continue to be bad. They're going to continue to be bad together on the floor. So I don't know if the Pistons should start looking to maybe trade Caris for something, or try to stagger the rotation in a way in which they're not on the floor together. I think that's going to be very hard to do when you have two guys coming off the bench. It's easier when one guy's starting and one guy's coming off the bench, but I don't know how they do that as well. My stance is out, and then we'll wrap it up here with where my stance is that neither of these players to me I care enough that you need to be altering the team's 21-5 start for. Neither of these players are that overly important to me, and I feel like to this team's roster building. I feel like you can move on from either of these guys, and the team's going to be great. We've seen them be great now for a while without one of them, without either of them. Like, I'm not shifting the whole identity of the team. I'm not shifting what has made this team the second best basketball team in the NBA for the first 2.5 months, 2 months of the season. I'm not shifting that for one of these players. That's where my stance is. And the fact that, honestly, the fact that they just apparently go from they look like NBA players when they're not played together, and then when they are played together, they just can't be NBA players is telling to me. That's how I view it. Like, it shouldn't be this bad. There's no reason that they should be this bad. And like anyone who watches, no matter who you're a fan of, you see how bad it looks. So that's where my stance is that you got to figure it out definitely, because it's going to cost you one of these games in the future. It's cost them, I feel like, already a few games in the past week and 2 weeks. But you got to figure it out. Maybe try to stagger them differently, play them with different lambs. I know that's going to be tough on JB. He already has a lot on his hands with the rotation. It's going to be tough. Again, maybe you look to trade Caris. At the end of the day, you do need to find out more answers about Ivey, so he'll obviously take priority over Caris, according to fans and to the front office. But the thing I guess that is more concerning to me is that JB doesn't look like he agrees with that. Ivey broke his minutes restriction of 20 minutes a few games ago, and each game since then he's went down in minutes. And Caris continues to play a ton. Ivey played 20 minutes against Boston. He's played 14 against Dallas, and then 13 minutes against Charlotte, because he hasn't looked good. Now, I know a lot of people will say it's because he played with Caris. I understand. They play terrible together. The point is that JB's still playing Caris a lot, though. And he's taking Ivey's minutes down since that game. So, I don't know. It's a situation they got to figure it out. It's a tough situation to be in because you're winning games, and you don't really want to change everything the team's doing, because what the team has been doing has been great. But you do have a player that you probably would like to get answers on in Ivey as well without sacrificing some team wins. And you have a coach that really likes Caris and plays him in situations that he feels like he needs them. Don't know what they're going to do, but they got to figure something out, because what they're currently doing is not working. They are terrible together. Let's just be blunt about it. They're terrible. So you got to figure it out. Let me know what you guys think. Comment section down below, or over on Twitter at Khahil. Or in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. That's all I've got for you guys today. Stay safe out there, and until next time, peace out, everybody.